And the second thing that you need is a warm environment. And so what I brought along were some plastic trays that we can use for starting seeds. And this is a starting tray that has 20 compartments in it, so you can start 20 different things in it. And you using a heating mat will increase the uniformity and the speed of the plants to come up. So you place the flat on a heating mat, which we also have in the garden centers, and then you put the soil in and you put your seeds on it. Of course, you use young seeds, and then you use a dome, and we have a couple different kinds of domes. We have this is the short dome that is excellent for starting seeds, but we also have a taller dome if you want to root cuttings like geraniums and coleus and things like that. You can use a taller dome for that humid environment. It's very important until they root. Also important to use a seed starting mix that has no damping off funguses in it. And so we made up our own mix, which is called the Jung Family Garden Mix. And we also have Jiffy Mix, which we've had forever, and both of those work very well for getting your seeds starting. And then once the seeds are up and they have 2 or 3 true leaves, then what we do is we transplant them either into a cell pack, which you can use the same plastic tray, but you take the seed starting things out of it, starting seeds. And so, those are some ideas for you. We also have a lot of things in the garden center. The potatoes should be purchased and cut up about a week before you plant them. The asparagus roots are available, strawberry plants are available, fertilizer for your lawn. It's really a little too early to start applying the crabgrass preventer. You want to put that on about the time the forsythias start to bloom, but you can put your fertilizer on right now because the grass is just starting to grow, and with the rains that we're going to be getting over the next week or so, it's a good idea to get that lawn fertilizer on so it gets the grass up and growing. And if you get a good thick lawn, you don't have to worry about crabgrass because the lawn will outcompete the seeds, and the seedlings that come up from the crabgrass seeds will not germinate in a thick lawn. So those are a few things that are going on at the garden center. We've got as good a selection as you'll have any time now, and so it's time to get over. The seeds, the seed wall has a few blank spots already because seed is very limited this year, and because seed was so popular last year, a lot of the warehouses got cleaned out, and so they depended on last year's crop, and so some of the seed producers did not come through the way they should have, and so we're starting to run out of a few varieties, but we do have a good supply of other items, and if we are out of the variety that you're looking for, there will always be something in that area that will tell you, if we run out of celebrity tomato, use Better Boy or Big Boy, so you get an idea. But with the number of varieties that we do stock in the garden center, even if we're out of a few of the varieties, we should have something that will do what you need in your garden.
Should mention again that we are on Daily Dodge video feed as well as WBEV. So if you want to head to Daily Dodge, check out video. You'll see the handsome and dapper Dick Zondag here.
Like you used to say, John, we have the face for radio.
For radio, I hear you.
And now we've got video, so I guess we have to
Neat
fess up.
And it's great you kind of had a visual with starting the seeds. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
We do have a caller on the line that's been waiting patiently. 885-4446, the number to call if you want to get on the air with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center. Let's go to the first caller. Good morning.
Good morning. Is it too early to be spraying a dormant oil spray in my raspberry patch? And I normally don't get my raspberries. I don't start picking them until September or October. They're a very late variety of raspberry. I'm just wondering
Right.
if it's too early to spray now, or
It's
too
you've
cold.
got an ever-bearing variety which blossoms and fruits on a one-year cane. I would say it is a little bit early yet. You want to have at least 24 hours when you're not going to go below freezing for it to be the most effective. I would say in another week or two, that's when we'll get into that time when you can use a dormant spray. And a dormant spray is an emulsifiable oil, one that will dissolve, not dissolve, but will disperse in water. And if you can find lime sulfur, that's another good thing to use in a dormant spray. And then you spray the raspberries and you spray the ground around the raspberries, because a lot of those insects are overwintering in the grass and the area around those raspberries. So, to do a thorough job, you need to do both.
Okay, so wait about a week or so.
I would say a week or two. When you got 24 hours when the plants are not, or when the temperature is not going to go below freezing. The other thing you want to make sure is that the leaves and the buds are not coming out, because if you use dormant spray at full strength, it'll burn the leaves a little bit.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your call. 885-4446 as we go back to the phones. Good morning, you're on the air with the Garden Doctor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
What about fertilizing your asparagus?
Yeah, asparagus should be fertilized right now, because asparagus is a little bit different than most of the vegetables in your garden. With vegetables in your garden, you're eating the fruiting part of it. Like with peas, you're eating the pea seeds. With tomatoes, you're eating the fruit. But with asparagus, you're eating the vegetative, the stalk part of the plant. So you can use a high nitrogen fertilizer on asparagus, and the better it grows, the more asparagus you get. And also, it'll grow better so that the plant itself is much more healthy, and the more growth you get on your asparagus during the summer, the bigger the crowns will get and the more asparagus you'll get.
What do you use, 10-10-10?
10-10-10 is fine.
And you just put it on in spring? You don't put it on anymore the rest of the year?
If your asparagus is growing well, you don't need to reapply it, but maybe in early summer it would be okay if you do it real early so that it grows well.
Yeah, because mine didn't do too good last year.
Yeah. Then I would say do it once right now before it even emerges, and then maybe about the 1st of June put another application on.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Thank you for your call. 885-4446-1920. 885-4446. Dick, how rigid are these three numbers? You want to use a 10-5-5 for something. What if you use a 10-10-5 instead?
Yeah,
How strict are these numbers?
Yeah, the first number is nitrogen. And nitrogen has the ability to make things grow. And in a regular garden, you don't want to use a high nitrogen fertilizer, because if you do, the vegetables will grow like crazy. The garden will look very lush, but it also inhibits flowering and it inhibits the roots. So like with carrots and things like that, if you use too heavy a nitrogen, you'll have the bushiest carrots you ever saw, but the carrots themselves underground will not get very big. So what I usually recommend is, if you're composting, to put the 10-10-10 in the compost, and that way the microorganisms that are doing the decomposition in your compost bin will incorporate that nitrogen into their cells, and then when you put it on the garden, it won't be as readily available. The second number is the phosphorus, and the phosphorus has to do with root growth and with the health of the plant, and then the last number is the potassium, N, P, and K. And again, the potassium also has things to do with the health of the plant. The different systems that grow, they have to have that potassium.
All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air with Dick Zondag from Jung Garden Center.
Hi, my question to you is, when's a good time to plant tomato seeds inside?
Okay, what I recommend is that I would say tomatoes can be planted probably between now and the next week or two. What I recommend is that you keep track of exactly when you start those tomato plants in your house. And then when you plant them out, if they're too small, you set the date back earlier, so next year you start them a little earlier. Or if they're too large and spindly, start them a little bit later next year. And by having a notebook where you keep track of when you start plants and what varieties you use, because you don't want to depend on putting that seed packet on the end of the row, because it's going to blow away. So you want to know the varieties that you use, when you started them, when you transplanted them, and then how the plants did. So if you need to adjust that starting date a little bit earlier, a little bit later. I can tell you when we start them in our greenhouse, but greenhouse has perfect conditions for growing. We use fertilizer in the water every time we water them, and you know, they have all the light that they need. But in a house condition, it's dry, and you have probably a little lower temperature than what we do in the greenhouse, and you don't get the light that we get in the greenhouse. So every home grows plants at a different rate. So you have to kind of adapt the planting dates for your particular situation.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Thank you for your call. You're listening to The Garden Doctor here on WBEV and streaming live video on dailydodge.com. We invite your calls at 885-4446. We go to the next caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to find out when is the best time to trim these evergreen shrubs. I think they're called yews.
Okay.
And, you know, they like to have them trimmed kind of like almost perfectly even on the top.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, right now is a good time to do it before the plant starts to grow. And then if you want them perfect all the time, I would say you can prune them anytime from right now up until about the middle of August, the first part of September. Then you want to just kind of let the plant grow, because at that time plants are starting to go dormant, and if you prune too much, they tend to grow into the fall, and then you'll get more burn on them. So, you know, you can prune a plant anytime, especially an evergreen, because you're not worried about the flowers on it. So I would say shape them up right now, and then maybe after the new growth comes out and hardens, then you want to take that snippers and maybe snip the long ones away, and that way you can have the perfect looking plants.
So, okay. So you would rather do it now and then do it later after the new growth.
Right.
But what if you didn't do it now and you waited till then?
Well, what you do then is the new growth that you'd have is more than likely going to be on the areas that you're pruning off.
Oh, okay.
So you want to take it off so that the new growth comes on the plant that you're leaving, and that way you get new needles. Because what you'll find too is that with evergreens, the needles only last for a couple of years, and so if you're letting them grow out and then you're cutting them off, the needles that are left are not going to be in as good a health as they are. The other thing that you want to do with yews is to use an evergreen fertilizer that has iron and manganese in it, because that is what keeps the plants nice and green and healthy.
So you would put that right in around the root area?
Yep, right around the outside of the plant.
Because I think they're kind of, you know, they probably got it's a stone cover with probably plastic underneath. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there should be holes in the plastic that's underneath that that water can infiltrate. And so you want to use a fertilizer that has those two elements in, because those two elements are very involved with photosynthesis.
Okay, what was those two again?
Iron and manganese.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Well, thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Yep, bye.
All right, thank you very much for your call. Let's go to the other line, 885-4446, the number to call here on The Garden Doctor. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Japanese beetle, my nemesis for my raspberries, my morning glories. And I thought I heard on your show last year that there was something that you could spread like, not a fertilizer, but an insect killer on the ground in the spring to take care of those.
Yeah, there's a milky spores. What the product is, and what it is it's a spore that the larvae ingests, and then that kills them. It's not inexpensive, and if you're going to treat it, you've got to treat a large area, because those Japanese beetles will fly in from a long distance to get to your stuff.
Yeah, I guess that was my question.
Yeah.
If they were just local to your plants, or
Yeah, I mean, if they were just in your area, treating would be fine. What I recommend with Japanese beetles is to get a Japanese beetle trap, and to put it away. You know, you don't want to put it right in the middle of the plants that you want, if it's strawberries or raspberries or whatever it is, because what it does is it attracts the beetles in. It has the sex attractant, the sex hormones, embedded in the little eraser thing that comes. And what you want to do is take it probably 500 feet, or because what happens then is that will attract the beetles to that trap. And so if you're putting it right where you want the beetles not to be, it's going to attract every beetle in the area in. So what you're trying to do is to attract them away from your plants, so that they fly in, they get to that trap, and they actually fall in a plastic bag, and then you tie the bag up and throw it in the garbage. Or if you've got chickens, chickens love the beetles.
Right. I've used those before, and it seems to help at some point, but, you know, like anything else, all of a sudden the bag's half full and you got to keep at it. What about dusting? Is there any dusting that you can do?
Yes, I mean, you can use a regular garden dust, and that will kill the beetles that are there. But they just keep coming.
Yeah.
I wish there were a solution, but...
yeah, they are a nasty little creature.
Yep, they are. And
Thank you very much.
Abundant.
Yes,
you don't want your morning glories to turn into nightmares.
Yeah.
I want you.
And that's usually what happens. But then by the fall, I don't know if the beetles go away or what.
Well, what happens is they lay the eggs in the ground, and then the eggs hatch into larvae. And the larvae live underground for the winter, and that's why the milky spore works well, because it's on the ground and they ingest it, and it takes them out. But
so
they,
you do that
the
now?
life cycle.
Is that something you do now, or you do that after the infestation?
I would say in June.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it's a preparation that you put in water, and then you just sprinkle it around. But like I said, you'll have to do a large area, because they fly quite a distance.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your call. You may have touched it on this, Dick, while I was lining up phone calls. What if you want to just spread some grass seed around some bare spots in your lawn? Is it too early to do that?
No, it's actually the best time, because what happens is the seed probably won't germinate right away, but when the soil temperature is right, the seed is going to start to germinate. And so, you know, with my own yard, I have a new house and have had limited luck getting seed going. I spread a whole bunch of it last fall, because the winter won't take grass seed out. The grass seed will just lay there dormant when the soil is too cold. But then when the soil warms up to where the seed will germinate, it comes up. So it's called dormant seeding. And so this is kind of an altered dormant seeding process, because the soil is still too cold for the seed to germinate. But if you get the seed down, you work it into the soil a little bit, the seed will germinate when the temperature is right.
So we just have little patches that we got to do. Can you just like rub it with your foot, kind of rub them in a little bit?
Sure.
Or?
Take a rake, a small rake, and just rake a little bit of the soil loose. There's also products that we sell that have, it looks almost like insulation, where the seed is embedded in a substance that you put it on the ground, and it actually forms that nice barrier that will keep the seed from drying out. Because the only thing that kills grass seed is to have it start to germinate and then dry out. And so that's why when you're putting a lawn in, you want to put the seed down, and then you want to cover it with a mulch so that the seed doesn't dry out. And then you, instead of watering once in a while the seed is germinating, you've got to almost water it daily because, like I said, the only thing that kills grass seed is to have it start and then dry out.
885-4446. We have at least enough time to take another call. So if you want to give a buzz, you're listening to The Garden Doctor here on AM 1430 WBEV and streaming live video at dailydodge.com. I'm going to bring up the H word, Dick.
No, don't.
Hydrangea.
Yeah.
What should I? Well,
hydrangeas are kind of my nemesis because there are so many different types of hydrangeas. Whether they flower on new or old wood, you have to know what variety that you planted.
Yeah.
If they've got nice big fat buds at the end of the stems, that means that that's a flower bud, and you don't want to prune it now.
Don't want to prune it. Okay.
If it doesn't, the paniculata varieties, you can prune them right now, because they blossom on new wood. But the macrophylla and the arborescens varieties like Annabelle and Endless Summer and some of those, you don't want to prune those right now because you're pruning your flower buds off, unless you want to control the size of the plant and you don't care about the flowers. But hydrangeas are, to me, without flowers, they're like a lilac. You know, lilacs are beautiful in the springtime. They're fragrant and everything else, but the rest of the year they're just a green shrub. And so you want to plant lilacs on the edges of your property because you enjoy them in the springtime. It's one of the first flowers to come out, but then the rest of the year it's just a green plant, unless you're using the Korean lilac or some of the smaller ones that look really nice in the summertime too.
We do have time for one more call. You're on the air with the Garden Doctor, Dig Zondag.
Good morning. I have some boxwood, and they had gotten some freezer burn.
Okay.
Can I trim that off now?
What I would do is wait and see if the burn goes down into the stems, because sometimes the leaves will burn, but the stems will be green, and then new buds will push out in that area. And so if you cut it off, you may be cutting some of your new growth off. With boxwood, one of the things you should be doing for the winter time, if it's small enough, is just to put a single layer of burlap over it, because boxwood is an evergreen, and the leaves stay on all winter long. And if you're in a very exposed area, you're going to get sunburn in the wintertime. So water them heavy in the fall. After the ground freezes, put a single layer of burlap over them for the winter. I would say at least for the first 3 or 4 years until that root system gets well established.
Great. And what about the hydrangea for fertilizer?
Just a regular garden fertilizer will work really well on hydrangeas.
Okay. Would bone meal work?
Yeah, bone meal will work, unless you've got one that goes from pink to blue. And if you want them blue, you have to acidify the soil. If you don't care what color they are, just stay with the soil the way it is, and they'll be pink.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks for calling.
Thank you for your call. And we are out of time as far as phone calls go. We have enough time for Dick to tell us again what's happening at Jung's.
Okay, well, the bare root room opens tomorrow, and we've got a limited supply of bare roots. So if you're looking for bare root, it's probably time to get in and get it. We've got everything. I mean, the flowering bulbs, we've got glads and begonias and caladiums and gloxinias and dahlias. If you want to get a head start, with summer flowering bulbs, you can plant them in a peat-based soil, and then they'll start growing, and maybe even we'll have some blooms by the time you put them in the ground in late May, early June. Raspberry, strawberry plants, asparagus, potatoes, onions, all of that's available right now. And with the way our season has been going, can't guarantee that we'll have everything all the way through the spring season. So the earlier you get in, the better. Store hours in Randolph are Monday through Friday, 8 to 6, Saturday, 8 to 5. In Madison and Stevens Point, the hours are 8:30 to 6:30, Monday through Friday, Saturday 8:30 to 5, Sunday 10 to 4.
Once again, thanks for helping out Jane and Joe Gardner out there, Dick,
Yep,
and we will go ahead.
And happy Easter to
Happy
everybody.
Easter,
We
yes.
hope to see you all in church to celebrate the rising of our Savior.
All right. Thank you very much, Steve. Have a good one. And again, the preceding program was a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the program were solely that of Jung Garden Center, not WBEV 95X or Good Karma Brands. It is 10:59. We've got news coming up next here on WBEV from ABC, followed by fun hits of the 50s through the 80s.